Have Jason speak for me.
So that, man, but you've done it for 2 years now.
Hello, how are you going, people? It's going. I'm rolling along. It's the Santa Claus season, so I'm just driving along here, looking for what's going on, what's happening. But you know what's happening tonight? It's the off night. It's the off night with the greatest guys on the planet, talking to you about whatever's going on for this week. And there's been a lot going on this week. There's this, all this stuff is happening. Sleighs, kids, whale crazy. You know, it's just all these movies out. Every Hallmark Christmas movie possible. But you know what we got to do? We got to talk to Mark Sweetman because he's going to host the show and he's going to clear it all up for us. So please welcome Mark Sweetman.
All right, Andy Jensen, my faithful compatriot there on the side. Hey, thanks for joining us. Now, people that are watching are going to have to let me know if there's any of that reverb that I'm hearing on my speaker, but I think it's on Andy's side. I think whatever I say is getting fed back into your speaker or into your microphone. And it's
well, you're coming in clear as a bell for me.
Oh, naturally. Of course.
Of course.
Anyway, yeah, I can turn my speaker off, but then I can't really ask any questions.
Isn't that the perfect of all worlds? Really, you know?
Yeah,
oh, you can just hear what people are saying, you know?
We could do. Oh, you know what? I think I have the perfect solution for it. Here it is, right here. All I have to do is put this crawl along the bottom, and we have everything taken care of.
Oh, there we go. Perfect.
You like
got
that?
the crawl out on time. Good job. You talk about people signing in, right? You talk about people signing in to listen to this tremendous amount of information we're spilling into the world, right?
You know what? As soon as I put the "we are having technical difficulties" crawler across there, the echoing stops. So.
Wow.
All right. Well, anyway, how's it going out at 12 Oaks Mall in Novi, Michigan, where you play Santa Claus?
Well, yesterday there was human sacrifices. It was as though they were bringing virgins to be sacrificed in front of Santa, and they screamed and they were crying. There was many cries. You
know what? From your description, that would not be all bad if they'd get rid of if they remove the children from the scene. You know.
Yeah, more than likely. You know, it was just an amazing sort of. You know, we finally got to a system of getting the photos done and the kids out within 2 minutes, and it was just amazing. Just hey kids, look this way. Click. Look this way. Click. All right, we're gonna make antlers. Okay, great. What do you want? Get the heck off my lap. All right, go.
I'm not saying that sounds a lot like Gene Shepherd's A Christmas Story, but it sounds a lot like Gene Shepherd's A Christmas Story. So
yeah, I haven't quite gotten the boot. Nobody's asked for the BB gun yet. I haven't been able to use that phrase yet. So you'll shoot your eye out, kid.
Yeah. Now, do you guys just shoot photos or do you videos too?
They won't let videos on board. You can only do photos. That's how we make the money.
There you go. Perfect.
Make the money from the photos. Yeah, no personal videos. But they'll do that if you go over to there's a couple of places, an outdoor place. I think we'll let you do videos, but you know you got a pretty nasty Santa over there. You know, there's just no Santas.
Andy, since I have you here and you are my announcer and co-host, I'd like to ask you what you think of my new room behind me here. Did you see that?
Oh, okay. What's behind you?
That's my new room.
You're in a new space. Oh, yes. Wow.
Actually, it's the same space. I just put up a green screen and then picked this photo to put up behind me. So, through the magic.
Not our kitchen.
Through the magic of kitchen, nothing. There's a fireplace in the
Sorry,
there.
not our family room.
Wait, I almost was like my set down in Ferndale. I mean, not Ferndale, but where is that? Fairlane Mall. There's there's a curtain drawn behind me, and it's like, okay, all right. I'm gonna
bring Jason out now, ladies and gentlemen. One of our favorites here at the off night. And at the Unclub on Sunday nights, here he is, Jason Graham. Hey, Jason.
Hey, how's it going?
You still hearing the echo, Jason?
Yes, nothing but echo.
All right, hold on. We're going to take...
I used to own an echo.
No, just a second. All right.
That sounds better.
Yeah, because I just muted Andy.
Well,
Andy, you can...
And the echo's gone. And listen,
Andy being the great improv actor that he is, knows exactly what to do when the mic is turned off.
I would also like to suggest that while he's muted, that I promote the outdoor Santa video shoot that I'll be hosting a little bit later in the top floor of the parking structure up here in the near the U of M.
As long as you're 150 feet away from a school or something.
500.
Yeah, that's why it has to be a 12-story parking deck. Then that helps him get his 500 feet.
Just kidding.
It whether you triangulate it, it really doesn't matter. It's gross distance that matters. And if I weren't talking to a rank amateur, you'd know that. But we'll move on. You may draw whatever conclusions you want. And remember, this being the Christmas season, I'd just like to remind you, it was Barzini all along.
Oh, all right.
It's one of my favorite Christmas movies, The Godfather.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Come on.
Are you guys ready to bring some? Are you guys ready to bring some East Coast flavor in here?
Yeah, bring him in.
From New York City by way of Washington, D.C. Here's our favorite East Coast comic, Sam Greenfield, ladies and gentlemen.
Yay!
Oh, there he is.
He should be up there.
No,
I clicked him in.
there he is. Yay!
There he is.
You got technical difficulties still going across.
We are having technical difficulties. Sam, did you hear any echo there while I was interviewing Andy?
Hello, Sam.
Maybe
does Sam know? Does Sam know he's on?
Should we plug in the Sam stunt double?
I didn't hear any technical difficulties.
So there was no echo when I was interviewing Andy.
There was no echo while you were interviewing Andy.
I'm going to take off the technical difficulties banner first, and then I'm going to turn on Andy's microphone. All right, Andy, stop your cussing. I'm going to turn your microphone
don't do that.
on.
I mean, oh, good.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Strangling kittens,
Timing could not have been better on that one.
Yeah. Meow.
You lost.
Well, Sam.
Well, he'll be back.
Yep.
Don't worry about it.
So
wait a minute. Maybe I'm the guy that echoes. You guys, I'm going to turn my mic off. You guys discuss, and I'll hear if there's any echo.
Okay.
Well, now that Mark's it's still going.
Yeah.
Oh, hey,
yeah.
I've just gotten an urgent reminder that I need to campaign to Herschel Walker's campaign in Georgia, even though I believe the Republican voting's over. Democrats may continue voting as long as necessary.
Oh.
Sorry, I'm not the one to make up the rules. I'm just telling you what the little banner that just came across my little screen said, that if I contribute now, they'll match up to 400% to go into Herschel Walker's coffer against Lord Warlock or whoever it is he's battling against.
All right, now we have everyone here, and I'm going to introduce Susan so she can read her poem, and we can get on. I turned off the technical difficulty scroller, and yet it still rolls along. I just don't get this.
You can hit the trash can and just get rid of it.
I could do that. All right. Okay, here comes Susan. Oh, here she is right here. Let me go to... Oh, come on. All right, Susan's going to read her poem. I can't.
Is the mic on?
I presume that it's
I'm
on.
frozen.
Oh, we're all frozen. Hold on, let me turn on.
I don't care.
Oh, here we go.
Farts.
Andy, maybe you want to try logging out and logging back in. I don't know if that will help or not. I don't know.
Yeah, try that.
All right.
All right, I'll leave.
Read
Goodbye.
your poem.
Are we ready? Okay.
Yep.
USA Soccer is out as a win they did lack. FBI looks at Carolina power attack. Mauna Loa keeps flowing. The lava keeps going. After the tragedy, dancing grannies are back.
And that's our poem from Susan.
It's sort of a limerick.
That was, yeah.
I know we'd have audio problems, so I wrote a short poem.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Bye.
Love you. Thank you. Thanks for the poem. All right. Now I can. All right. And Andy has gone out to try to come back in to get a better connection. All right. Beyond that, any news that needs to be discussed right off the top? Oh, Sam and I talked about something before we went on, but it's something that he can't talk about live. So make sure that you guys all stick around after the show so we can continue that discussion, because we had to interrupt it with this stupid live show. But very interesting work-related discussion we had going here. Let me see. Oh, our third oldest son took my wife and I to dinner yesterday for the first time. With his longtime girlfriend. I was hoping for an announcement.
Don't say that.
I think the only announcement I got was, "Hey, I'll take this one. You get the next one." That was about as close to an announcement that
I hope you meant the bill.
That was what we were talking about, the bill. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were. There was a very, very anti-patriotic moment. If you're MAGA, this would be considered anti-patriotic moment when the Lions had gone up by about 3 touchdowns in the third period, and somebody switched the TV over to the Argentine soccer game in the World Cup.
Blasphemy.
Well, only to the people who thought that soccer is somehow un-American.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Aaron Rodgers giving the Nazi salute. His most recent game.
I missed that. We missed that, Sam. Again.
So you will
The
let me
ball
talk
is
about the
round.
Lions.
It shouldn't be. It's got all those goofy colors, and it shouldn't have it. And those guys enhancing thugs. What is the point?
Oh, man.
And then she said, "Yeah, but it's on my shoulder." No, I'm just kidding.
I could not talk about the Lions. You guys cut me out for the Lions too. Come on,
No, you know what, Andy? This time that when you came in, this latest time, you have no sound quality problems. So go ahead, speak whatever you have to say now.
Yeah, there you go.
But do it quickly.
All right, thanks. Well, I watched the Lions game. I thought it was great. I think the Lions have a shot. They get
who are they going to have? Other than the Jets, who are they going to have a hard time with?
Just the Vikings.
The Vikings. We did pretty well against the Vikings at their place. We only lost by one. What's that, Sam?
The Vikings are very
So I think Sam has this conspiracy against him. I think somebody from Fox News is stopping Sam from speaking.
I think he uses speakerphone, and I think sometimes what is coming out of his speaker interrupts his microphone.
Oh,
that'd be my guess.
By the way,
what's that?
Said, "I'm Jews of Nazis."
What? Nazis?
Yeah. With Sam's mic the way it is, I don't think he should be using anything that sounds like Nazi in his speech, because it could come out very wrong.
Sounds like a nasal sound. So you think he's using his he should take out his microphone and just use the phone?
I think he should have a setup like Jason's got with an earplug so that the sound isn't going back into the microphone.
Got it.
Because what we're all doing this. I mean, I have this microphone. See, I have one that's actually directed towards my mouth, and I did that after I had troubles with sound feedback, and I said, well, I'll just get a microphone and cut off I lower the speakers so it's loud enough for me to hear it, but not enough to go back in this directional microphone. And making it a directional microphone means I can direct it towards my mouth, and so it doesn't even hear the speaker crap.
Got it.
So, Sam's back. Let's get Sammy back in here.
All right.
Well,
we should call this show "Old Guys Trying to Use New Technology." That's just
it's great if porn is involved. I can usually figure it out pretty quickly.
Yeah, I feel the squiggly line stuff. You can actually see a breast once in a while.
My father was like that. He couldn't turn on a light switch. As soon as he had to figure out he had to do a couple different things to get smut on the cable TV, that man was into it.
Do you remember the squiggly images though from about 40 years ago when cable first came out?
You didn't buy
that particular service, and it was all screwed up.
Yeah,
but you could see enough to say, I'm going to stick with this 5 more minutes because I can see enough.
I can see one or two. Yes, it's sort of like it created this sort of like Picasso-esque sort of approach to pornography. So
it worked for him. I mean,
the problem is that once you got a real girl, it never seemed the same. There's a sort of where's the distortion? There was no distortion.
Well, that was an issue I never had to conquer, fortunately. Yeah. So, sorry.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, may I make a brief MAGA announcement here?
Sure.
I have to. Sorry, but I have to say, after Trump's most recent announcement about his belief that the Constitution should be suspended and have him reinstalled as president in light of the latest Twitter revelations, it's like, dude, at this point, come on, stop. Just stop it. Stop.
Two things could happen in that scenario, and both of them are bad.
They're all bad.
The first thing that could happen is it would divide the military, and we would have a civil war.
Yes.
And the even worse thing that would happen is it wouldn't divide the military, and we'd have a civil war.
Yeah. Well. So I mean, for whatever it's worth, you've never heard me come on this show proclaiming a Republican sweep or extolling the virtues of our previous president. I tend to go back a few to like Eisenhower.
All right. So you know what? You're the type of Republican I can communicate with.
Oh yes, I'm the old-fashioned country club guy.
Exactly. You are for less government. Allow the economy to solve all of its problems itself. And if we treat everyone fairly, everything will work out great.
Yeah, usually better than yeah. I mean, but the thing is, when Trump didn't see what was coming down the road more than 2 years ago, he lost the election. He did. I think, were there shenanigans? Absolutely. Tell me an American election that doesn't have shenanigans. They have shenanigans, and if you're not prepared for that, if you're not ready to overcome those things, then you don't deserve that office. Ask LBJ, ask Nixon. Ask any of the people who've had the office previously. It's just the way it works.
Yeah,
and you're not going to sue your way back into it, and you certainly don't want to, call forth all your minions to march around. Despite however milquetoast his statements were about, go home peacefully, blah 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 blah. Come on, that doesn't happen on January 6th the way it happens without his blessing, without his encouragement. And it's a stain,
or without his purposefully looking the other way.
Mm-hmm. Whatever.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I'm arguing for. You can say either a benign lack of complicity, or I don't know. You can phrase it however you wish.
Santa would say he made bad choices. Okay.
To much like Stalin or Hitler did. Yes, they that. No, I mean, no, it wasn't as bad as a Hitler or Stalin thing, but it was not a particularly good idea. It was not reasonably well executed. And the fact of the matter is the guy needs to understand that his time in the sun is over. It's time to go back to Mar-a-Lago, polish whatever medals or whatever you got, play a few rounds of golf, put up your feet, and have a nice day. The sun's going to set soon anyways. So
you know the problem, Jason? The problem is, Jason, the problem is that no elected Republican politician say what you just said.
They have been a little mealy-mouthed.
No elected Republican politician. They are cowards beyond anything I've ever seen.
What, cowardice in the Republican Party? Oh my God! Hold on, I'm sitting down. I've got to. Whoa, Sam. No, how do you think I feel when I realize I'm looking to 2024 to be some sort of saving grace to some of the issues that are important to me, and I realize that the people who I'm hoping for are guys like Ted Cruz, Senator Desi Arnaz, and other elements within the Republican Party.
Oh my God!
And all it makes me want to do is open up my car door and vomit loudly onto the cement, like it's a Sam Peckinpah film. I mean,
wow.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, the Republican Party is this corpse that is lying there, whose only purpose is to be a doorstop that absorbs money, and that's on a good day.
Here's the way I see it, Jason. I'd say 70%, 75% maybe of the Republican Party is just like you.
Oh, I think that's true.
But most of them will stay with whoever is at the top of the ticket.
Well,
because they fear the other side.
Well,
get elected without their
the Democrats are rather. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Jason. I want to hear what you have to say.
No, I'm just simply saying that the Democrats are pretty famous for party loyalty as well. They're pretty good at getting their ducks in a row.
But no one in either party has ever had a party leader like Trump.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Here's what I hope Sam will be able to hear this. He should watch us on YouTube while he's trying to get back into StreamYard. So he can hear the stuff that he misses when he goes out. No, but
I enjoy his.
My favorite quote is from Abby Hoffman when he was describing the parties. He said, "The Republican Party looks like it's manna from heaven. So it's like the right of kings. You get one guy, he comes down, whatever it's Trump, whatever. You support that one king. Nobody defeats or goes against the one king. And the Democratic Party, you raise your hand, you're a party."
But
it's like herding cats,
But I say
Sam,
this to the Democrats.
Sam had mentioned how a black president had changed Fox News, but I think it changed the way the leadership or the top of each party changed, because in all the time that I followed the elections, which is about probably a couple years before I was old enough to vote, the Democrats always got the new thing, whatever the new thing was. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Jimmy Carter, the new thing.
Yeah.
Dukakis, the new thing. Whatever the new thing was, you didn't have to finish second the time before. Republicans just the opposite. Reagan finishes second to Ford.
Party of Me Too.
Bush finishes second to Reagan. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah. Dole finishes second to Bush. That type of thing. And so they always did like a step system where it's like an escalator. As soon as you get to the top, right, you get your shot, missed it. All right, now it's the next guy's turn.
Well, the fact that they ran Bob Dole and John McCain,
exactly
two Me Too candidates, and then throw in there the guy who's really the cream of that crop, Mitt Romney, who again, excuse me while I put mouthwash in my mouth after saying his name.
Again follows the Republican method of working your way to the top, whereas the Democrats always said, what's new and different that will turn people on?
Go back to 2007 when David Axelrod is running Barack Obama's campaign, and he's just a guy who's had a good couple years in the Senate and a great speech in the 2004 convention, and he takes out Hillary Clinton.
But you know what?
Out the Clinton machine, and that's
what changed. And that's what changed in the Democratic Party, because if Clinton had lost that when her husband was running,
Yeah.
He wouldn't have, if he had lost the nomination when he was the young new thing, he wouldn't have come back.
No, but I shudder to think what Bill might have done. Oh boy. I mean, there's a lot of people on that list of Bill's enemies who are no longer breathing air. And I don't want to be on it. So
yeah, you know what? I'd like you to keep hawking that conspiracy theory too. Because that helps us. That helps the Democrats.
Yes.
Because that stuff is so fucking goofy. I mean, first of all, here's my theory on corruption and conspiracies.
Yeah.
You gotta have 6 to 12 people who will keep their fucking mouths shut or kill somebody who doesn't.
And their whole family.
Exactly.
Yep.
Unless you've got that, the conspiracy theory ain't going to work because people love to fucking talk in this country.
Oh yeah, they do.
And so, if there were 80,000 votes in Georgia that were crooked, God damn it, we'd know about it.
Well, you know, I mean,
no doubt in my mind.
I say? You can't say anything bad about Hillary Clinton unless you want to have lunch with Vince Foster. So I mean,
and you keep spouting that. You keep spouting it. I
want
to hear Republicans talking about how many people the Clintons have killed. I want to hear it every election.
I just said
it sinks your goddamn ship every time.
Listen to Sam. What's Sam saying?
Do you know what newspaper covered Whitewater more than any other newspaper? The New York Times. Do you know the one that was set? Wait. Do you know the one that was second in covering it? The Washington Post.
I have no idea.
You know what? Do you know what? Do you know what the headline was at that very same time for the New York Post? Headless body found in topless bar.
I hope my epitaph has that, please.
You know, I'm not a big New York Post fan, but I tell you, I love their headlines.
Well, you know, they have a guy. That's his job. That's his one job. He was on the Letterman show, and Letterman said, "What is your favorite word to use in a Post headline?" Co-ed.
Co-ed.
Wow.
That'll sell papers.
Yeah, absolutely.
I had a professor at Wayne State when I was taking journalism. Then he said the reason that the Post is the Post and the Times is the Times is because the Times reader would buy their paper once they got to the office building, fold it under their arm, and then read it when they got to the office. The Post reader would buy their paper as they left their house and then have to read it as they're walking to their train.
You mean
and then
the New York?
train.
Yeah.
And so it had to be that tabloid sort of format for the working man to read it. So.
Yeah, go ahead. I had a friend who worked for the Onion, Tim Harrod.
I remember Tim Harrod.
Yeah, he said what his job was is to come up with headlines. They didn't worry about the body. It was you had to come up with a 10 headlines to try and make it work. And then they would write the body of it.
Now, did he ever come up with headlines so good that they wrote a story for that headline?
All right. There was a book out there called Satirist or whatever.
Yeah.
And they wrote about the Onion in there. And Tim Harrod's his topic for when the two towers came down, they didn't use. They wanted to use it, but they didn't use it.
What was it?
It was everything's okay according to the what's a word for a square? It's not a hexagon. Is it hexagon?
Pentagon?
No, hexagon. 4 sides.
Yeah, hexagon is 4 sides where
so
two of them are the same size.
This is the title. Everything's fine according to hexagon papers. You know?
Oh, yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, I get it.
My favorite thing was last week in the New Yorker, Borowitz did this headline.
Borowitz.
Trying to remember it now. Okay. Here it was. Nazis give Marlowe's rest only.
Bet that was funny. Had we heard it?
Well, no, the biggest complaint, too much ethnic.
Gosh, I wish we could hear what you're saying, man.
Yeah, me too.
Let me try it again.
As soon as you said Horowitz,
Nazis give Mar-a-Lago restaurant only 1 star. Biggest complaint. Too much ethnic food.
Wow.
Oh God,
that is funny. And then Sam goes out. Again.
Oh my God. Well, when De Fuhrer was at the Birches Garden, how wonderful with a gay romp with Eva Braun. I mean, excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm going back to my Springtime for Hitler.
Oh God.
The first time I ever saw that movie was like in the 1980s, and it was one of these things that had been rumored. I'd heard about this movie for years. And, back then, of course, you couldn't watch any movie anytime you wanted. And I finally got a hold of a videotape of the producers. And, it's a little slow in places, but when they start cranking it up with Zero Mostel and Gene Wilder, and the big dance number comes out there for the opening to Springtime for Hitler, I just about pissed myself
Springtime
laughing.
for Hitler in Germany. Winter in Poland and France.
I mean, when they're having the big finale there, and they're raising the big guns at the audience, and the giant Hitler pictures coming up behind them, and the one guy in the audience starts cheering, and it really. I mean, now everyone's seen it a million times.
Let me tell you an interesting story. Years and years ago, there was when I was still young, there was a TV show on, I think it was ABC, called Racket Squad, and it was about bunco artists.
Yeah,
and one of the plots on that show was a Broadway producer who was going broke. So he oversold the shares to different people on a really shitty show because he knew it would be a flop.
Yeah.
And it was that, and then he's talking to his wife, and she says, because the New York Times would put it out like at 1 a.m, the review, and you could find out after the show had actually, folded for the night. And she said, "Have you looked at the reviews?" "No, I know it's going to be terrible. So bad it's good." Every review was stellar. And I'm going to tell you something. I don't like to think Mel Gibson's a thief, but that's the producers. And that was 14 years before the producer.
Mel Brooks,
not Gibson. We got you, though.
That's 14 years before producers.
God. Well, again, I think we can all agree the casting of Dick Shawn as Adolf Hitler is something I think the world needed, and
LSD.
We finally got
baby. Baby. Hitler never said baby.
The Führer never said baby.
The boss does baby. The Führer never
4
said
walls,
baby.
2 coats, 1 hour. Oh, before you came on, Jason.
Yes, sir.
I was watching Biography.
Yes.
Eva Braun.
Oh, there you go. Great cinematographer.
Biography of Eva Braun.
I'm sorry, I missed part of that.
And they did a biography of Eva Braun.
Right.
And Lenny Riefenstahl wanted to do a film about her.
Right.
And what's her name? Scotched it. Ava scotched the whole deal.
Oh,
because she looked at the way Hitler looked at Lenny.
Yes. And
I'm thinking I want, the one image of Hitler I could never imagine was henpecked. Could never imagine Hitler being henpecked. But sweetheart, if she's just you'll do this and I'll kick your fucking ass, you piece of Nazi shit.
Oh God. Lenny Riefenstahl.
How come you don't invite my mother over? Oh, you can have Lenny over, but you can't have my mother over. Look, you're 14. Shut up.
I didn't know he.
Well, that's like that joke. What's his name? Colin Quinn tells. He says, my girlfriend told me that she thinks I'm immature. He said, "You're 15. Screw you. What do you know about immaturity?"
Oh yeah, there you go. Obviously, dating outside of or dating within my family circle there. So, Yeah, you know.
Well, that's
Again,
like what's that Jeff Foxworthy do? You know, good family girl, might as well you might be a redneck.
Oh yes.
Mhm.
Oh God.
There
Well,
is a in the second city in Detroit. They did this bit, and it was basically there was a train of Jewish people going to the concentration camps. And the officer comes out and says, "For your entertainment, we have a comedian to cheer you up."
you know, this happened at
And they had this guy. He came out and was like, Eva Braun was a cow. It was fantastic.
Some 25 years ago, when Pine Knob was still Pine Knob, some version of Blood, Sweat, and Tears was performing, and it was during the summertime. And the lead singer, who I believe was David Clayton Thomas at the time,
he
came out there and said, "Man, it's hotter than the last train car to Auschwitz." And the whole goddamn show just came to a complete. I mean, the Pine Knob issued an apology, and I just wonder what.
I have a story about him.
How do you even say that?
Let me tell you a story about him. He was on an airplane.
Do you know who Pine Knob was owned by back then, Jason?
Back then, as far as I know, it was the same guy who owned the Pistons, but maybe it was somebody else.
Back in the 70s, it was owned by the Nederlanders.
I've heard the name. I don't know who they are.
They're Broadway producers.
It's a big Broadway producer.
Oh my God!
Producers. Yeah.
So David Clayton Thomas said that, and the place was owned by Jewish producers.
Broadway producers, people with a lot of power.
I mean, that's Kanye West territory at that point.
Pretty much.
I mean, but again, what possesses you to think that saying this is hotter than the last train car to Auschwitz? I don't get that, man. I mean, is that's
a roughie.
Yeah, I've never heard that expression used in a form of vernacular.
Brown as a cow, there we go.
I mean, so that just.
Hey, maybe take me out. See if Sam will get back in. Maybe I'm taking.
No, all right. All right. Here you go. Stay tuned. We'll get them both back in here in a second. Yeah. Now, Andy, I can see you. Can you hear me? Andy can't hear me. Okay, he's got to be. I wonder if I can do a. All right, here comes.
We got to get Sam a mic. Get him one of those Rode. Rode makes a really great microphone for podcasting.
Well, he uses his phone, and I know. I think he told me he has an Android.
I know
Apple has a mic attachment that you just stick to the bottom, and it extends your phone by about a half an inch, and that's it.
Yeah,
I mean you can still keep it in the same.
Right, so let's let Sam speak. Speak, Sam.
He's there.
Putting on the dog, hey.
Oh, I didn't get a word in edgewise when you guys were talking about the producers, but I showed up at Wayne State University, who's and the first day there, I get a couple guys come down from the RA's room, and one of them's Elliot Prague, who you may or may not know. He's one of the instructors at the Culinary Arts Institute in New York. But at the time, he was a dorm mate of mine, and he says they're playing the producers at the library. I had never heard of the producers. I go, "What's that?" They go, "You've never seen nor heard of the producers?" I go, "No." They go, "You are coming with us," and they drag there. You pay for your ticket, you drop everything you're doing, lock your dorm door. You're going to be gone for 2 hours. We're going to see the producers. Well, the first thing. I walk into the Detroit Public Library and I go into their theater and I'm saying, this is a theater in a public library. And this is the first time hearing of it. It was the most magnificent theater I had ever seen in a public library, only to be eclipsed by the one that they have across the street at the Detroit Art Institute, which is even more spectacular. The theaters in Detroit are just stunning.
Yep.
But anyway, that's the first time I saw that. Speaking of theaters in Detroit, they just took down the United Artists Theater.
Oh,
the famous built in 1924. United Artists Theater. You know, they took it down, and you know what it is now?
What?
It's an asphalt parking lot.
Well,
Wow.
much like most of our
thank
industrial
God.
base. Yeah,
But
exactly.
Right,
United Artists Theater.
it has a history to it when you need a parking lot. There you go.
If there's
There you
one
go.
thing that Detroit needs, it's more space for cars.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
know, I mean,
Right.
you captured the spirit of revenge. I like that.
Screw you, Edsel Ford. You know, I don't know if you know this, but you must know this, that Henry Ford was very tough on him, on Edsel Ford.
Oh, yeah. He drove
But when he died, when Edsel Ford died of a heart attack at a very young age, I am told that it destroyed Henry Ford.
Yeah.
That he was devastated
he did not die
by
much. Henry Ford only died like about 6 years after Edsel died, I think.
Harry Bennett was running the company, running it into the ground during World War II, and it was FDR issuing a presidential edict that busted Henry Ford II out of the Naval Academy because they said, you have to go run your father's company. And they showed up with Marines to remove Harry Bennett from office.
I love that.
You know, it's interesting. The Edsel was not a bad car. But the problem was there were too many mid-sized cars.
And it was ugly, though. I mean, I
love that grill. I love that grill. Man.
People call
I tell you what,
that grill looks like the face of an abused wife.
There's they only produce 3,500 Edsels, and I think there's 2,500 left because the people that bought them
love them,
held on to them, and have kept them in great shape.
And the second year run or production, they improved them quite a bit. But I mean, like I say, that the horse collar grill, as it was called, it kept being referred to as the urinal grill. And once you see it as a urinal, you can't see it any other way. I mean, I
got some good Ford. You want some good Ford news? This was in the Free Press this morning.
Yes, absolutely.
The Detroit Free Press. In October 2022, Ford Motor Company had the highest sales of any time of any of their pickup trucks. Their Super Duty pickup sold 47 and plus thousand units in October.
Wow.
The most they'd ever sold in one quarter at any time. So they upped production in both here in Michigan and at their Louisville, Kentucky plant. Their Louisville plant can actually go 24 hours, and they had to export some work. They took workers from around the country and put them in Louisville to just crank these things out 24/7. And then November sales totals came in 97,000. So they doubled what they did in October. Was their highest ever, and they doubled that the next month.
What did they attribute that to?
I don't know, because it's a $47,000 base, and depending on your equipment package, they go up to $90,000. So I don't know. I think it might. They think it might be that there's a lot of just like every other industry, the farming and construction industry is low on employees, so they're hiring a lot of people that they aren't necessarily employees, but as contractors. And now these contractors are getting these big upfront money contracts, and they can go out and afford to buy this new truck. And I guess that's a pretty good truck for farming and construction.
Well, there's also the when the perception of inflation settles in, there's usually a big impetus to buy now, because if you wanted to buy it later, it's going to be more expensive. Whether that's true or not remains to be seen. But that's
but that would be true about a lot of things.
Absolutely, it would. Yes.
Anyway, good news for Ford. They'll be cranking those things out till May probably.
Yeah. Well,
you guys would know this better than me.
Yes.
No, go ahead, please.
No, I was about to say, in my attempts to be hired by Amazon, which is interesting given the nature of my rants lately, has fallen flat on its face. I was doing my best to become one of their little delivery truck drivers, and they're like, "Thank you very much for coming in. It's been amusing. We've had a wonderful laugh. But now would you please go away? Because there's no way in hell we're going to hire you." So, yeah.
Have you seen the guys driving the Amazon trucks?
I know. How do you think that makes me feel? I mean,
they all look like they came from the gym. I mean, they need guys. They need guys that can pull up and run to the door and run back and be on to the next stop.
I know. And the fact, but the fact of the matter is, I'm 61 years old and fat, and while they weren't going to say it out loud because it would be a lawsuit, they're like, again, please get your fat ass out of here. We appreciate you coming in, but rest assured we will not be hiring you.
There's no doubt in my mind. There's no doubt that there are films that I applied for as a writer, and age is what got me out, but they can't say it.
They can't ever say it.
So this is what I would do. I would, person, who was interviewing me, I said, look, if you don't think I'm going to...
Damn it.
I wonder what's wrong with this.
We lost him again. We keep losing him. No, Jason, another thing that they'll say is we could use you. People like you we could use with a little more computer skills. So the fat asses they're looking for are the ones that have been sitting in their mother's basement on their computers, learning how to program for the last 80 years.
So they won't even let you go in and do all the picking. You can't be a picker.
Not apparently.
Pickers got to be in shape too. They want them young and thin.
Yeah,
because they want. Yeah, you got to be thin to be a picker because you got to be able to squeeze down those aisles.
Yep.
Because they want to cram as much shit into their warehouses as they can.
No,
so the aisles aren't wide. It's not like you're looking at the final scene from Raiders of the Lost Ark or anything.
Yeah.
Well, the robots are also pretty fast, so it's like you don't really go anywhere in there. You're in a section,
Yeah, well, like I say, it looks as if I am doomed to spend my last few days rolling around this town like I'm a cosplaying Scooby-Doo villain someday, and probably in some ghostly Ford Crown Vic going up and down Washington Avenue. I mean, just it's not a pretty future.
It's not a pretty end. You're saying it's not a pretty end,
It's not a pretty end, but this is the... You know what? What can I do, man? I made decisions. They weren't always the best ones. Obviously, they weren't. And 61's a hard time to turn the ship of state around, especially a ship like mine. And wanted to. A buddy of mine is doing it. He's only a year younger than me, but he is a year younger. So he hired in when he was 58. So yeah, he's bringing home over $1,000 a week. So I mean, it can be done. And the other people I've seen doing it, I know I could do the job. But they're pretty sure that I can't. So there you go.
Well, that's interesting, Corey. Like when you look at Nomadland, the history of that is that they were always hiring people who are seniors, 60 or above.
Yeah.
Well, now maybe actually be in the Midwest or down in the Southeast or whatever. But
someone has mentioned to me, and I'm thinking if it's come to this, then it's time for me to just gargle poison. But they say that there's a fair Amish population in the southwest side of Michigan who need drivers. You have to be able to drive them. I'm dead serious. Not talk to them and keep your radio off. And it's like if I have to go out and be the taxi cab driver to the Amish, at that point I'm just going to go down on Satan and hope that it's like a chainsaw dick between his satanic legs. So
I can see him with that wide brim hat, Jason. I can see him.
Yeah. Exactly.
The wide brim hat, and they say thee and brethren, and guys. Yeah. I can see you there.
It won't take but 6 months before you're calling the rest of us English.
Yeah.
English.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to be I don't know, down snobby or whatnot, but I can't imagine these people have the top-notch hygiene products that the rest of us have. So I can't see this as being a viable.
David Tell did a very funny bit about. David Tell did a very funny bit. He said, "Worst thing you can ever watch as a film is Amish porn." He said, "This is a stereotype. This ye."
Ye.
God, I love David Tell. Oh man. He's one of those guys, you can tell that guy, you can put him in front of 10,000 people, or you can put him in a bar somewhere, anywhere, and he's still going to have a great time. He's a great comedian. I wish I were sort of had whatever it is he has, I mean.
You do.
Well, I mean, I had what he had, but they cured me with some shots. I mean, the rash went away, and
yeah, I know. I wish he was. just accept that you're a funny guy and just get out there and start going,
No, I've been having fun with it lately. And
Good.
the fact that, I don't know if I told you this, Andy, but I thought my set at the Old Miami didn't go well. And then I find out that sitting in back was the guy who hired me talking to another producer sitting there with a bunch of bikers who were having a great time.
Yeah.
Who were laughing their asses off. But, I couldn't see them because my voice went out to the whole bar.
But
so they're
have I not told you this many a time?
Yeah, I mean, so they were just having a good old time, and I'm up there, and there's like nobody in front of me, and my only people are there, my people, and they're laughing at me, not with me.
But, was this guy able to get you into some series of like gigs that are sort of biker like?
Not yet, gigs? But what he wants me to come up, he wants me to do a professional recording, or come up to a place where they're going to be doing some professional recording. And have me do a couple sets, and he also has some connections in the Chicago area, and he's said maybe we can start getting you some shows there because I know some places where we could book you for about $1,000 a weekend.
Well, there.
And at that point,
how much time do they want?
How much what?
How much time do they want?
I think he wants about 15 to 20 minutes at this point.
Wow.
And I could probably do 15 to 20. Wow. I mean, when he's telling me he could get me booked for $1,000 a weekend, I'm thinking, well, okay, now when I finish blowing you, we should really get the particulars down here.
I mean, Jason, you've got the material for that stuff for those rooms. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got it. Well, like last night, I trotted out some new stuff. Some of it didn't work out so well, but it didn't matter. I wanted to say that stuff on stage. It'd never been said before by me, and that's how I kind of work out the beats of where the funny's at. There's what I think is funny, and there's what the people think is funny. Not always the same thing. You know that.
What the people think is funny. Yeah. We tell them what's funny. No, I'm kidding.
Exactly. They'll do what they're told. They'll like
do what you're told.
John Kenneth Galbraith. They'll manufacture. What is it? Manufacturing consent? No.
Jason.
Yes, sir.
Shelley Smith.
Yes.
Does that annual show, 51st Jokes.
Yeah. Yep.
And she's asked me to help. She's always asked me to consult, basically because of the Unclub and what I see is coming up, because she doesn't get to see everybody.
Right.
And I don't get to see everybody, but at least I see. But I'm going to give them your name.
Cool. Oh, that'd be wonderful.
And Vivian.
Yeah.
And Ned, but Ned I think is already in.
I've always wanted to do 51st Jokes. I've never been asked before.
I think you're going to get in this year, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because she takes my recommendations seriously.
But my understanding for that thing, though, it is sort of a short and sweet joke, is what they want.
You do 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Mine usually ends up being 3 of my style jokes.
Well, yeah. I mean,
I'm not a I do a little sort of icebreaker, which is a bit of a titter. And then I go into something that's usually got 3, like, my kids today, or my kids this week was a little bit different because it was the first Christmas without our grandparents. And basically that's now I set up, what is eventually going to be a 2-minute story about at Christmas time. But anyway, and I've done other things. One year I got up to, it was like it was maybe the second one. I says, most of you are here for 51st Joke, but all the comics are here for the 3rd anniversary of the closing of Joey's Comedy Club. Well, naturally, I knew of the 190 people in the room, 100 were comics, or 50 were comics, right? So I knew that I was going to get at least a quarter of the room with that joke if I do it. So a lot of comics you'll see do jokes that are inside stuff just to get, if you can get a quarter of the room, hey,
right.
That's pretty good for an opener, especially when you only got 2 minutes. You can't take a chance,
Oh yeah.
No. Yeah. I mean, I mean, I'd have to go over some of my material, but I'm sure I could glean something out, that I could squeeze into a 2-minute set. Something along those lines. And
the first 2 sets, and she does Shelley uses a randomizer program that she just puts all the names in and then hits a button.
Right.
And it gives her a random order. And I was first one year. That was probably the worst set I had. That's a horrible place to go out first. But I've given you a lot of experience going out first. So if that
thank you for that. I mean, it's actually made me a much better comedian. I will argue. I mean, you guys, make whatever judgment you like, but I really feel better about what I'm doing by just having that pressure to force me to do something and get up there and do it. And it's been fun.
I think you do it. I think you do a good job. I think Vivian does a good job.
Oh, she's great. Yeah. She's going to be on Netflix. It says, she's stacked. I mean, she's got huge tracts of land. I mean,
yeah.
I know. I'm doing Monty Python again. I know. I get it.
Yeah. Basically, the things we could talk about 30 years ago that we can't now.
Yeah. I know. And what can I say?
And
you're talking about my daughter, damn it!
Who I want to think of as my
another guy that I'm liking and he's only been here 3 weeks now, is that Zach Sloan.
Yes.
I mean, if you listen, he needs a lot more work on his performance, but his material is really good.
Yeah.
Do you remember the newscaster Sander Van Oker?
Yes.
So there was a very famous restaurant in DC, Mel Croupen's, and it was the kind of place where journalists hung out, journalists and some jocks, and it wasn't kosher, but they had a lot of Jewish food. Anyway, Mel retired, right? So they had a big story in the paper about this retirement because it was a legendary restaurant, and Sander Van Oker is sitting there nursing a scotch, and you reminded me of this with the several tracts of land. And there's a female reporter from a local news station, and he's just trying to relax and be by himself. And she literally has the mic 1 foot from his face. And she goes, "Tell me, Sander, can I call you Sander? Tell me, Sander, what are you thinking about right now?" And he goes, "Your tits."
You don't expect that from Sander Van Oker. I mean,
by the way, you heard about this little scandal at ABC with the two newscasters who are both married and both having affairs.
Amy Rohrbach and TJ Stokes.
They were taken off the air.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
and here's another news story brought to you by Sam Greenfield. Baker Mayfield was waived by the Panthers.
No kidding.
Why? Because you got to love this. I mean, I feel bad for him. They said, "You're not going to be starting." He said, "So I'm a backup?" No.
As a matter of fact,
what am I going to be doing? Well, the right guard needs a Coca-Cola.
Wow.
Oh boy, that's.
I mean, this guy was a Heisman Trophy winner.
Yeah.
He was the number 1 pick, wasn't he? Wasn't he the number 1 pick for Cleveland?
See, I've been saying this for years. For years. It's great that you're a great college player. All kudos to you. It means nothing in the pros. Nothing. Nope. The world is the football field is scattered with. There was a guy. This is a long time ago. There was a guy who was a Gary Beaton, Heisman Trophy winner, went to UCLA, drafted first round draft choice, drafted by Washington, never started, never played. It means nothing. And it's not, sometimes people think, well, it's his work ethic. No, these guys, they really try. Some guys, there was one guy, I can't remember who it was, but there was one football player, and they asked him, they said, "Why didn't you make it in the pros?" He said, "The players coming to kill me." He said, "They're so big, they're not college, and they're so."
It's like watching the porno channel.
4-3.
This is the clip I'm going to cut out of the show and send to Sam so he can see it.
It's like watching the porno channel all over again. The squiggly lines, everything. Okay.
I hate to take the show in a somewhat dour direction, but I've just received a news flash that actress Kirstie Alley has passed away at age 71.
Oh.
Yes, I remember her from Star Trek. Was it
Star Trek. Cheers, my God, she was brilliant. Cheers.
Yeah, because I couldn't stand the Shelley, whatever her name was. She made the show unwatchable. She was great in Cheers. And of course, her work on Fat Actress will, of course, go down in history. But sadly, Kirstie Alley. Kirstie Alley, no longer amongst the living, sadly.
She passed away.
Yep.
Yeah, Jason just saw it come across his news feed.
Yeah,
so.
For every Heisman Trophy winner, there's at least a Herschel Walker future,
Well, I was about to say, and so is Herschel Walker's Senate dreams have gone along with her.
Yeah.
Again, how you can run, if you're the Republicans and you need the seat, and you do, and this is the guy you come up with, it just tells me that you people you're brain dead. You don't want to win.
Can't you
somebody told me the reason
why can't you cut his
somebody
mic?
told me that the reason they did this.
Yeah, Sam, let Sam talk.
They told me, a couple people told me the reason they wanted him is because whatever they told him to do, he would do.
Well,
we want you to vote this way. No, we want you to vote this way. Okay.
Sure. And you know as well as I do, Sam, it's tokenism. You know that. You know that they're putting.
Yeah, if that's what the Republicans want, then there's no doubt in my mind they're going to have a porn star for their candidate at one point.
Oh yeah.
I just absolutely.
Well, what do you think Carrie Lake is there for?
Yeah, kidding.
Well, I mean, there's always some element of it. I mean, you always have some level of expediency in any candidate that you want, especially for a big federal office like senator. Okay, no one ever gets the perfect candidate. Nevertheless, do we have to have something here that wouldn't make it as a CW reality star?
Well, if they do a porn star, they will have to put her in the agricultural department because she has huge tracts of land.
All right, we got to let it go with that. All right, Andy wins for the closing joke for the night. Stick around, fellas. We'll talk a little bit after we go up the air, but our hour's up now. Everybody else, we're here on the off night on Monday night between 8 and 9. Join us. It's a bunch of old comics that make each other laugh, and you can join us anytime you want. Go ahead, contact me through the YouTube page here. Go ahead and like this and subscribe, and then you'll get notified whenever we have a show coming up. It's every Monday, but other things happen. And we'll see you here again next week with Andy, Jason, Sam, and Mark. Thanks for joining us. You guys stick around. We'll talk a little bit after the show.
Okay.